Hello and welcome to the Almost Irish podcast. I'm Dan Barry.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Dennis Rooney.
All right, lads. Mick Thomas, how are you?
This was take 3 of the actual initial kickoff, I want to point out.
Yeah. Third time's a charm.
We're not good at this. Of course, you only counted 2 because you were responsible for 3. We have a thing where we were all getting ready. We test our microphones before we start. And then we're like, Dennis is like, oh, you guys are a little low, whatever. We'll just do it. And all of a sudden he puts on like a gaming headset and we can't hear shit. And then his computer breaks. And this is
I just re-left and rejoined. But we're all good. It's working.
So what games are you playing, Rooney, that you need headphones and all that shit? Like that's serious gamer. Like I like to mess around with a PlayStation once in a while. But I've never bought extra equipment to highlight or to make my game.
It's not as serious as it once was, because I know what you're thinking, and you're thinking guy in the chair with the headset or like the controllers on the chair, like.
We don't think you can afford a chair. Let's start there.
Yeah, you should see. I'm sitting on a pile of books, basically. That it's out of frame.
You've made like a Game of Thrones style chair just out of books you haven't read yet.
Yeah, every time I want to read a new one, I just grab one from behind. No, Mick, I play like Call of Duty. I play Rocket League. Those are really like the only 2 games I play. But when I play Call of Duty, you got to be able to shit talk, Mick. What's the point of crushing noobs if you're not going to call them things you would never say to their face in real life? You know?
Yeah,
I can agree to that.
I've never once played, and I have a PlayStation 4, and I've never once, but I've always had PlayStation. I've never been an Xbox. I'm not even a PlayStation guy. I just like PlayStation. But I've never once ever played online with anybody ever. Like never logged in to play with some kid from Vietnam. Just the
whole point. No. I also play with a lot of friends though too. So when I'm playing with friends, I'll be talking to them on there. You know.
My favorite is going on Grand Theft Auto and playing online, and then somebody's in the middle of like a mission with like their friends, and you just snipe them, and they get so mad.
How do you play with people online with Grand Theft Auto?
There's an online mode. You just hit like so when you're loading it, there's like you press a button and it loads either online or regular gameplay mode.
Go ahead. Sorry. No,
I was gonna say all I do is just log in, and I have yet to do a single mission or anything that is not revolved around just killing people. Like there's no reason
with other people.
Yeah, there's no reason to play this game aside from like, oh, let me just snipe this guy as he's going to buy clothes. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's all I want to do.
Yeah, ruining other people's day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I picked up Grand Theft Auto about 2 weeks ago. I think me and Dan were talking about this in a green room recently. So the first thing I did when I'm driving around, I remember playing it years and years ago before, and now it got really advanced. And I remember I just picked up a hooker, and I was like, all right, maybe I'll try video game. Maybe this is my new thing now. Maybe I'm into video game sex. And so she goes, drive someplace quiet. And I drove someplace quiet. She kept saying, drive someplace quiet. I'm like, bitch, there's nobody. Like, where do you want me to go? Like,
we're in the middle of a major metropolis, lady.
Like, I'm in a high-rise car park. I am fucking going down dark alleys, and she's not doing shit. So I actually just drove her to my mission, like, which is about 10 miles away, and made her walk home. Like, that was...
You drove her 10 miles away to the mission. You're like, you could either be my wheelman or you're hoofing it home. And she's like, I'm out of here.
Either do something to my computerized penis or get the fuck out. I was annoyed at the video game woman. Really annoyed at her.
I can see you being really annoyed. I can see you going back to GameStop with the GTA 5. Like, yeah, I can't find a quiet enough spot for this whore.
I can't fuck this hooker. You need to fix my game.
Oh, doesn't art imitate life?
You're a whore. Like, how are you finding it? Like, any place should be good for you.
And then, like, some girl at GameStop's like, oh, I'll have sex with you, honey. You're like, I married you, bitch.
Dirty pervert.
But you know what's messed up about this game, and this will kind of lead us into stuff that's going on with you, Rooney, this week, is there's one mission in it, right?
Will you kill people in real life? Yeah,
but I get to take a dog with me, like a Rottweiler, right, to go look for this guy. And then, but as you're looking for the guy, your Rottweiler gets on top of another dog and starts banging it, right? So you're watching these two dogs have sex, and then the guy's like, the message comes up like, hey, pull your dog off this thing and let's get the mission done. And I didn't know the controls. And so I just took out my gun and shot the dog he was fucking. And I felt horrible for the whole day. Like, it just never, I'm like, I just shot a computer dog and I messed up in the head with it. Like, it tormented me that I shot this computer dog.
Not only did you shoot a computer dog,
though. That's the way you're supposed to do it, by the way. That makes the game go faster if you shoot the dog before he has sex with it.
Oh, no, I wanted my dog to get some.
I was going to say, if you shoot the dog beforehand, doesn't the dog just start, like, having sex with the corpse of the other dog?
And he just looks at you like
this is on you.
Yeah, like, I'm doing this. Like,
yeah, it's
I like how you said, though, Mick, you were like, what I'm about to talk about has to do with what Dennis has been going through this week, and then you talk about two dogs having sex.
Yeah, but it's about your bestiality fetish.
I'm coming to terms with it through therapy and groups, and there might be a place for me in this world, it turns out.
yeah, you can't cancel somebody who comes to terms with it, apparently, so you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to flip it. I'm going to be the victim, all right? I didn't ask to be born with this brain. No. This bit has gone on long enough.
Yeah, no, but that is true, though, right? I've always wondered that about people who come.
Hold on, no, I'm putting my dog down. I'm not into
Right.
Stop trying to railroad me.
But yeah, it's that's something I always wonder too. Like, people who have these weird sexual things that people judge. It's like you can't help what you like. You know what I mean? You just can't help what you like, and it's like now these guys are being chased like fucking Frankenstein's monster for liking
People
certain
who
shit.
act on them anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to get into. I'm not going to talk about kids and shit. Like, my brother sent me a video this morning, and I'll share it with you later. And it's like, because he finds the sickest shit online because he finds it funny. And he sent me this video, and it's a guy's phone is down, and it's walking through the grass. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's like, oh, here's a guy with his head chopped off. You never know what you're going to get with him. So I go around the corner, and there's a guy bent over.
Christmas is an adventure at the Thomas.
Yeah. And you go around the corner, and there's a dog up on his owner, and he's banging him. And both of them, the dog and the guy, looked guilty when the phone was on him. And it's like, listen, that's what that guy's into. The dog is doing all the work. So it's not like the dog is kind of like, oh, don't do this to me, man. Like, the dog is up there, and the dog is carrying on. No, I'm not. But my point is, like,
was it you in the video?
People are judging me online now. It's not fair.
But I don't know. Yeah, of course it's cruel to animals, but like, the dog is doing it to him.
It is true.
We've all had a dog hump our leg over our years.
If the dog is doing it to him, it's kind of hard to make the call for, like, the dog doesn't have a choice. Unless he's, like, somehow holding the dog in place. He wasn't.
It was a greyhound.
He wasn't.
As you are painting a real weird box that you're dying at. Like, I'm okay that you guys.
I'm trying to extend Mick Driftwood. Mick also, like, this guy finally found a dog, the appropriate height, the appropriate length. The dog was into it.
Yeah.
This is like, they went to a secluded spot. You know, even this sort of thing, you can't get a hotel room. Most of them don't allow pets. So you got to go out into the middle of nowhere. And then this guy comes around the corner with the phone camera. It's a little insensitive.
You guys are Kate Winslet on the door in the Titanic, and I'm Jack just fucking letting go. I want no part of this. I will
warm up here, Dan.
Without you. I don't need this.
I just texted to you both.
I'm not gonna watch that video.
Believe me, this is not happening. I'm not. I'm
thinking of doing
I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna do a live play-by-play.
Oh man, depending on Dan's reaction, is whether I will watch or not.
This is actually nice grass up in the distance. It's slow zoom.
But look how guilty the dog looks. The dog looks more guilty than the guy.
The dog is straight up. So you just see a dude's like side of his butt, right? And the dog's like doing. The dog looks at him and goes, "Oh, I don't be caught with this pig," and he hops off. Like, it was the dog.
The dog is embarrassed.
It'd be weird if the dog was like, "There's room for one more, man."
Or the dog was like just hopped off, like, "Oh, was this yours? My bad."
Yeah,
it was like a very like weird like.
I'm not trying to ruin a home. I'm not a home wrecking dog.
I feel like somebody yelled something. I don't know if somebody made a noise in the video, but because I wasn't going to play that on the air. But the air, we're on podcast. So I was just looking at it, and boy, that dog like it's like a little. I don't know what type of dog it is. It's just like whatever. But you could see it like
looks like a greyhound, right? Like a whippet.
Yeah, like a greyhound, but like it like hops off like real slow, like. Oh shit. There's a dude here. Oh fuck.
He knows it's wrong. Even the dog knows it's wrong. Look at the fucking dog.
The
The
dog's
dog.
like, don't tell my wife.
What country is it in? You know,
Oh, it's not America.
Look, it looks South America.
it looks America. All right.
I'm only basing it on the horticulture and the
General vibe.
on the color of the guy's skin and the clothes he's wearing.
Was the guy wearing a sombrero? Was there someone playing the mariachi? Was there a mariachi band in the background?
Yeah. There's a Peruvian flute band. Oh boy.
So, Rooney, you had to put your dog down this week.
No. I fucking so my dog is very old. My dog is 16 years old. He's a little Lhasa Apso poodle mix, so he's not a big dog, you know.
Okay.
And 16 is a long time, and he's got doggy Alzheimer's. He kind of has like a
That's 112 years old, human.
yeah, you know, some would say enough. Some would
yeah.
say, you know, depending on how the dog is. Here's the thing, though. I don't live at the home where the dog lives anymore, so I really don't have like a great say in it. If they're telling me the dog is that bad, you know, if I just see him for an hour and take him for a walk and feed him, that's fine. It's like being a grandparent. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you abandoned the dog. Go on.
Exactly. So long story short, my parents had decided earlier in the week and told me, they were like, Saturday, putting the dog down Saturday. Tears were shed. I told people, I changed plans around. And then like 2 or 3 days later, my parents were like, we're giving the dog a pardon, as if Trump did it on his way out the door. They were like, we changed our minds. We're going to try some new drugs. And my dad specifically was like, he still knows everybody. Like, he still knows everybody, and he's still moving around on his own. You can't just put him down because he cries at night, which I agree with.
No, get rid of it.
Get rid of
it.
Well, Mick, you'll like this because my dad is from Ireland. He's off the boat, as non-woke people would describe it. And when we first got the dog, my dad was like, a dog doesn't belong in the house.
Yeah,
I like having a little dog around, but it stays outside. It lives outside.
Right.
After like a month or two, the dog was sleeping in the bed next to my father and has ever since. Do you know what I mean?
That's my dog right
So,
now.
but in a very Irish hillbilly type way, I feel anyway, my dad already told me, even though we've canceled the killing of the dog for an undetermined time in the future, he's like, when we do it, we're burying him in the backyard next to the Virgin Mary statue, which I think is just look at Dan's face.
I feel like every Irish home in America has like a Virgin Mary statue or something, like just randomly in the yard.
We have a Virgin Mary statue.
Let me ask you an Irish question for your dad, because I feel I'm the last generation. They do it different in Ireland now, right? Because Ireland is like most of the world, where it somewhat Americanizes itself, right? In a way, like it's
Western. Everyone wants to have that Western feel.
Let's get that, all the fast food joints and all that shit in there, but they copy it. But anyway, I think I'm maybe my younger brother, because my younger brother, he keeps everyone else back home still keep the dogs outside. But again, I think I'm from the last generation of where did you get the dog? Let me see how Irish your dad is.
We got the dog somewhere out east, out in Long Island. It was I don't think it was a breeder or anything, and it wasn't it wasn't like a store. It definitely wasn't a rescue. I think a guy naturally, one of his dogs got pregnant.
That's my point. That's what I was gonna say. Because we in Ireland, if you got a dog or a cat, it means it either wandered onto your property and well, that's mine now, or someone else fucked it and just got it pregnant. And the guy's like, listen, if you don't, and this is going to sound harsh to people listening, but it's like, hey man, if someone doesn't take these pups, they're going in the river. Like it's, you know what I mean? But now it's shelter. Now it's adopt. Now it's I'll buy. But that was the only way you got a dog. And it was a mongrel, right? Meaning it was just bred with, there was no like real like Alsatian.
We use the term mutt now, but yeah, or mixed breed dog.
Is mongrel offensive? Fucking our dogs get offended now. Like
I like mongrel. Mongrel sounds badass.
No, mongrel is something I call like a person at a bus stop. Like that's what I would call.
Just a random person at a bus stop?
No. There's like a person.
Someone who deserved it.
Yeah, like lives at the bus stop. Not like a homeless person, but like just like a shitty person that like is like a bus dweller, and you're like
hanging out at the bus stop but never getting on a bus.
Yeah, like just kind of sitting there and like being like a piece of shit. Like that's a mongrel. That is who that is.
It's actually the #1 insult in Australia. Oh, you daddy mongrel.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought being called British or something would have been.
I have heard stories though, Mick, from my father about, and like he told it very offhand, and me and all my brothers were just looking at him horrified. But he would tell us, he'd be like, yeah, if like some dog got knocked up or whatever, and there was too many young dogs running around, and we all live on farms and shit, like you might have to take a few dogs, put them in a sack, and take them down to the river. And it's just a matter of life, you know what I mean? But we were all looking on as like 14-year-olds, like, oh my God, this is terrible.
There was
like,
commercials.
Thanksgiving, Dad, please stop
Yeah,
talking.
save these stories for like, I don't know, a birthday or a lesser gathering.
I'll find the commercials on YouTube and I'll send it to you. But we were having kids with commercials, like guys, and the commercials on TV were like, and they were animated because you couldn't get dog actors in Ireland. They were like, lads,
yeah, they were drowning them. That's why you could have had a fleet of fucking. You could have a union of dog actors be like, nope, we're gonna drown these puppies, you monster.
But the ads were like these animations, like your normal dog. Like it was cartoon, like a normal dog, and be like, lads, lock your dogs up at night, because the dogs would all go out at nighttime, right? And you would hear them howling, just like the kind of, you know, they touch on in 101 Dalmatians. But dogs would get together, form packs, and fuck up sheep and cows. And agriculture, as you know, is the main economy driver in Ireland. And it was like, lads, your dogs are like your nice fluffy dog that would chase the ball or go for a walk with you was joining up with other dogs at nighttime and fucking up sheep and cows.
How dope of a life to live. I want to come back as a dog in Ireland in like the 90s, bro. Are you kidding me? I get to like live in a suburban house for the most part, and then at night it's like, it's go time. We out. We're gonna go fucking get up, bro. We out of here.
Hey, Fluffy.
Sounds like
you see that sheep over there?
This sounds like a rated R Disney animated movie, bro.
101 Dalmatians is something a lot different when it's a murderous pack. You know what I mean?
68 Dalmatians. We lost a few last week.
Yeah, but anyway, that's why I asked you, how did you get your dog? And like when your dad was off the boat Irish, and I just like a part of me was like, I guarantee you that's how we got the dog, because you didn't pay for, like, I'm not fucking paying for a dog. Someone will give you one eventually. Yeah.
You'll like this too. This isn't our first dog either. We got a dog years ago before we ever owned this one.
And hold Dad back from drowning it.
Yeah, we saved it from a bag.
No, we like this dog. It's Christmas.
We're gonna get one dog apart. No, someone in Ireland has dog. Someone we know in Ireland's dog got knocked up, and we flew one of those pups over to the States because it was cheaper to do that. It was like I forget what it was, some kind of very purebred blah 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 dog, and we got it for like maybe €200 plus the flight, as opposed to here it would have been like a few grand. You know what I mean? But then that dog, it didn't fit. For whatever reason, that dog never fit. We got rid of it. We gave it to a better family. Bagged down by the river. And
there's the Easter, which made it even worse. We're just
someone had to skip after school sports one day, if you know what I'm saying. And no, we gave it to another family. And we got this dog then, the new dog that we're putting down eventually soon. And when we got this dog, I remember being like 14 years old and being like, what are we doing? We're clearly not dog people. Like, we can't handle the responsibility. We just got rid of a dog. Are we just going to be getting rid of dogs for the rest of our lives?
We can't satiate Dad's murderous habit anymore. We need to start thinking of something else here.
It's like living with a vampire and having to get him blood all the time without letting him out and kill. I got to get my dad random dogs.
I'll get you fucking blood. Sit down.
He's asking for bigger dogs. I'm like, I can't get you bigger dogs. I can get you small dogs.
We used to live, so like when I was younger, we moved around a lot when we were growing up, because like
I'm shady. Go on.
You're poor. That's what happens when you're poor. Is that the rent gets too expensive. You go camping for 2 weeks, but that's really just you living.
Camping in February.
Yeah. It's like, why are we camping in February, Mom? Because the fucking rent was expensive. But we always what actually happened was that like my mom would progressively make more money and be like, oh, we can move into a better place, and that's what we would do. So she moved into this place in Merrick, and we had a dog. The dog's name was Ninja. It was a little tiny mutt, mongrel, Mick. There one day, I just saw a dog wandering, right? Like just wandering the streets of Merrick. And it was an Akita, which is a big fucking dog. If you don't know, it's just a big, massive dog.
That's that big, really bushy one, right?
Yeah, but it was like it wasn't a Japanese. So there's like Japanese Akitas and there's like a variety of different Akitas. This was like an Akita that was like we didn't understand what type of Akita it was, but it was just like wandering. So I was just like me being like I'm gonna save a dog. Like I just started yelling names to the dog like Spot, like Fluffy, whatever. And then I was like Baby, and the dog looked up, and I was like Baby, and the dog ran over to me. And I just started petting the dog, and the dog was the coolest dog in the world. So I took a dog home, and my mom was like, "Where the fuck did you get a dog?" I'm like, "It was wandering." I called it. We said, "Baby," it came over. My
no
mom.
Collar?
What's that?
No collar.
Nothing. So
Your dog then. That's fair.
yeah, I was like, so we put the fucking sign up, like, "Look, missing dog." And from my perspective, if a dog has no collar, and the dog is wandering the streets of a nice neighborhood, somebody went, "Fuck off, dog," and like left it. So Baby came to the house, and then Baby, we had like a chain that tied my one dog up.
Hold on, wait, real quick. Dan's mom looked at the dog and was like, "We're gonna need a really big bag." All right, go ahead.
Yes. I hope it can't swim.
That's the rock.
So we had the dog, and the dog like didn't like. So my one dog was chained up in the back because he used to jump the fence. So my other dog, Baby, chewed through the chain to free the smaller dog so the dog can run around. And then that dog ran away. This dog, like, was my favorite dog in the world. It was my dog. I had my dog. It was the worst fucking dog in the world. And we realized it was like a junkyard dog that I just took home one day. So I had this dog that we had to lock up outside because it was like, didn't want to be inside. It would free my other dog because he didn't like it being in chains because dogs shouldn't be in chains. And then we moved, and my mom's like, "Oh, don't worry. I took it to a shelter, and like, if they don't adopt it, we'll take Baby back." And I'm like, oh, "Okay, at least he's going to a good home." And then like a year later, I'm like, "Yo, she killed that fucking dog." Like, there's no question in my mind that my mom killed that fucking dog. But
were you 25?
Yeah, this was the other day. Like, I was walking around looking for stray dogs that were by the pond. I saw Mick down there and Dennis.
So Rooney, what kind of drugs did your dog like decide to? Because the reason why, and I didn't say on the text that we talked about the other day, but something similar happened with my dog, who died last year. The dog was like 13 years old, and I remember when I lived at the old house in East Patcha, we had a huge pond, and the dog would keep going up, drinking from the pond. But this one time she's dead because they reckon raccoons pissed in it, right? So then that becomes, so the dog, we took it to the vet, and the vet was like, "Yeah, she's gone. She's basically not going to make it." And we all, she couldn't walk, said her goodbyes, tears, all that stuff. And the vet was like, "Look, take her back next week or whatever it was. Just give her these medicine. It'll make her week easier." So I think we were waiting for somebody to come back and say goodbye. I can't remember why we got sent home with the dog. Dog was taking his medicine to make it easier. Bang, full on 100% recovery. We had another 6-7 years with that dog. No bullshit. I was like,
No
you
shit.
were fucking this close to fucking going. I mean, she died last year, a few months before my dad, which kind of,
Maybe your dog was building up a slow resistance to like raccoon piss.
Yeah.
But this dog used to eat chocolate, didn't give a shit.
I've always given my dog a little bit of chocolate, like not a lot, but definitely enough too where I go, "Oh shit, did I just give my dog too much?" You know what I mean?
We had to put down so I have I have two family dogs before I moved out of my mom's house, and one of them was a dog named Pinhead, and Pin was big fat girl.
Name.
We call it Pinhead. I had Pinhead and Chewy. So Pinhead was Pinhead because she was dumb, and Chewy looked like Chewbacca. So Chewy and Pinhead. So Pin and Chewy were like my mom's dynamic duo of the world's weirdest dogs. Like, one was like obsessive compulsive and it had to have all its toys in a little spot on the floor. The other dog literally would just sit outside and run back and forth for like 7 hours and then come inside and sleep and then go back out and run 7 hours. No joke. Would bark at his shadows while the birds were sitting next to him. The shadows of the birds were on the ground. He'd bark at those while the bird sat next to him and looked at him like, "You okay, buddy? I think you need to sit this one." But a couple of years ago, like 3 years ago, Pinhead had to be put down. Pinhead couldn't walk anymore. She was, she wouldn't drink, she wouldn't eat food, and we figured out the dog was going. There was no way we could save the dog. One of the saddest days of my life, for the record. Like I'm not, I am very much like an animal person, but like in the same token, like I'm a realist. Like at some point, you're like, dogs are gonna die. We need to become terms with that. This fucking dog dying was the saddest moment. Like she couldn't get herself up on her feet, so we tried to put a blanket on her to take her to a vet. We couldn't. We tried to pick her up. We couldn't. And at the end of it, we're like, we have to put this dog down in the dining room. And we're like, oh my God, this is fucking sad. And we're like, we have to call a vet to come to our house to inject our dog, to put it down in front of us in the dining room while the other dog was in the house. Right? So it becomes a real sad day altogether. This is really, like, for the record, it's like a sad story, but there's a
but it shows the other dog who's bossed, all right.
Yeah, it's like eye contact.
No more accidents in the house from that day forward.
You better shit outside. So
hold on. I don't mean to be crass, but why couldn't you pick up the dog? You had too much pain.
The dog's in so much pain, and
yeah.
It's just an odd, cumbersome way. Like I could have physically mounted and picked up the dog, but it wouldn't have been good for the dog. I didn't want the dog to suffer for the rest of its. So
you push on the stomach wrong and all, but that's the worst.
It's bad, and the dog, I didn't want to cause any more trauma to this fucking dog as it's dying. But so we're doing all this. My brother comes over. My older brother, for those of you who don't know, is a priest, and he comes over, and we're all like kind of like sad, we're crying, whatever. Like this is like a dog that we've had forever. And as we're sitting there like crying, my brother looks at me in all sincerity. He goes, do you want me to say a prayer over the dog? And I was like, the dog's an atheist, Brian. I don't think it gives a flying fuck about your prayer. And I've never seen my brother so more disheartened than in this moment of sadness that like my dog is dying. I just put down his entire profession in front of him.
I was gonna say, I feel like I'm the guy who gives off the air of like a little anti-religion, but in that moment I would have been like, yeah, man, absolutely. Like say something like make you feel important, maybe make feel everyone else feel, and you're just like, no one gives a flying fuck, Mike, or whatever is that.
But you have to understand, like I'm like legit like super sad Dan, like crying Dan, like fucking.
I bet you like me, where when you're sad you get real biting.
Yeah, well.
What do you mean?
Yeah, it was my defense mechanism. I'm sure it was my defense mechanism in that moment. I'm sure it was. But at the moment, I'm like sad. I'm like, oh my God. He goes, you want to say a prayer? I'm like, oh, the dog's not a fuck religious, you idiot. And I just like went back to crying. And my brother Mike's looking at me like, was that necessary? Like you just attacked your brother who was trying to do something nice. And like my mom was like, yes, I'd like you to say a prayer because my mom's religious. My brothers are like, you know what I mean? Like I'm the one who's like, all right, maybe that was kind of a dick thing to do.
Really, why did he ask you? If he asked anybody else, easy answer. He asks you.
And then, like I'm like, but I remember being like, huh, fucking really?
Did you go for the joke or just to generally be mean though?
I was trying. In my head, I think I was trying to like break the tension of like,
yeah.
You know, like what my family has like a way when somebody's like dying or whatever, like we try to break that tension. And this was a moment of me trying to break that tension, and boy, it did not play in the way I thought it was going to play. It was just a super sad moment. And I ruined it by being like, your profession sucks and fuck you. And like, I went right back to crying.
Nobody ruins a sad moment though. Like there's no way to ruin it unless someone didn't bring
Becoming
tissues.
angry ruins sad.
Way.
Telling a joke that hits, always great if it's a sad moment. Because you can't help it. But like being mean when someone's sad, it's like, that's the worst.
Yeah, I get it. All right.
I think did I tell the story on this podcast where my grandma died? Maybe I didn't. But my grandma died. When my grandma died, like, you know, she's a matriarch of my family, like as all Irish grandmothers are, is like the grandparents, and it's like they dictate how the family acts the rest of your lives, like regardless of whether or not you believe it. My grandma died, and we're all in the funeral home crying. We're about to carry the casket into the actual church. And we're crying. We're all sad. My mom hugs my older brother and she's crying, like whatever. My mom comes to me, hugs me. She hugs my brother Mike, and she's going to my brother Steven. And my brother Steven just deadpan goes, ugh, suck it up. And we couldn't stop laughing for the rest of the time. Like, because it's such a great, like, you know, like, yeah, we're all sad. We get it. Like, let's do the thing. Like, we're all going to be sad for the rest of the day. So, but it was fine. It worked. It was one of those moments.
Did I tell you how I found out my dad died? It's coming up on a year now, right? And he died on February 11th. But I got the news over here, which is February 10th, right? Because of the time difference. But so they got a call, said, look, at the hospital said, like, he's not gonna, because he was in hospital for months, like, he's not gonna make it. Someone come over. And my younger brother, who he got over there first, and he was there in time, and he died when my brother was in the room. Nobody else got there in time, but I'm assuming everybody said their own goodbyes when they were alone with him. I did, at least. But I remember I went to see Harley Quinn. I was in Connecticut. I went to see Harley Quinn. I came back out and I go, like, he's bad, he's not going to make it. Half an hour later, my sister called and she told me he died, right? And then my brother texted me, and I text my brother, go, are you okay? Because he was in there. And he goes, here's what happened. He goes, I held his hand. He took a deep breath. He said, Mick is a prick. And then he died. I fucking could not stop laughing on a hotel floor in Connecticut. It was the funniest fucking thing I had seen it was just great, which means, like, my brothers, like, I was told because, I go to school for counseling and that kind of stuff, right? But I was told by the person who's teaching me to be a counselor, and we were talking about that, she's like, I keep
forgetting that, and every time you remind me, I'm like, oh my God, like, what kind of a world are we living in where Mick Thomas is becoming a counselor? But all right, continue.
But even the woman who's like the head of my professor was saying, like, you might need grief counseling because, like, you haven't dealt with that at all, have you? I was like, I don't think either of my brothers have, because the jokes that we send each other, like, the day after, like, quarantine happened, my brother sent me a picture of my dad's grave, and I was like, wow, he's taking this quarantine thing very serious. Like, it was just nonstop.
Yeah, I can't wait till my parents die. It's gonna be so funny. We have a group. I have like a group of friends from wrestling, and one of them is this guy named Juba. And Juba is, for some reason, like, for the longest time, he was the person, like, the first person to, like, text us if somebody passed away, celebrity, wrestler, like, someone we knew. And he was always him telling us, and we never understood. So we started going, like, what did you do? And, like, that became the running joke whenever somebody died. So, like, one of our friends died not that long ago, and he'd be like, oh my, he'd be like, yo guys, so-and-so died. And we'd be like, you piece of shit, it was his birthday. Like, we just say all the terrible stuff. My grandfather's in the hospital, like, today. Like, he got he's been diagnosed with cancer. This is very sad. I'm not trying to make light of this, but the minute that happened, like, I have like a group chat, my brothers and Juba's in it, and so I got the text like, hey, Grandpa's in the hospital, and I wrote to Juba and I said, I swear to fucking God, Juba, if you kill my grandfather. And he's like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm like, oh, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's how I cope with being really, really sad, is I make really weird jokes. So fuck
yeah,
yeah. I remember, like, if you see the even at my dad's funeral, like, if you see the coffins, right, the way a funeral works in Ireland, and Dan, you've got family in Ireland. Rooney, your dad would know, is that everybody from the town comes down to the funeral home, right, and then you walk, which could be a mile, 2 miles to the church. And everyone walks behind a hearse, right, while they go to the church, and, like, people draw. It's kind of nice because everybody, like, shuts their car off till the funeral passes. Like, over here, it's like fucking, yeah, everyone get out of the way. Like, nobody gives a shit. People cut funerals off and shit. But over there, but there's nothing but silence. It's very eerie. You just hear, like, the footsteps on cobblestones or whatever. And I remember we were taking my dad from the funeral home to the hearse, and, like, we don't use caskets in Ireland. We use coffins, like, very narrow coffins with, like, these handles on the side, which I never knew. Like, I go to grab it to carry it out, my brother's and one of my uncles, and the guy, the undertaker, was like, whoa, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just gonna, he's like, no, you don't grab the handles. Like, they're only for decoration. So we're carrying the coffin out on the shoulders, right? And I'm walking out. I'm like, but what? And you can hear nothing but silence, but all you can hear is me, like, upset, not at the death of this guy, my father, I'm carrying in a box, but, like, the undertaker. I'm like, do they charge us for these handles? Like, because they look expensive. Why do they have brass handles and we can't even grab them? And you can just hear, like, everybody was like, oh, fucking Mick. It's like,
we saw when I went to WrestleMania in New Orleans, there was a funeral, and New Orleans funerals are notably different.
Oh yeah.
They have, bands playing, whatever. But like wrestling, yeah, like wrestling fans down there were like cheering for the parade, and I'm like, guys, like that's a funeral. That is not like a. They're like, yeah, this is sick. They're playing a band for. It's like, no, man. Like there's a fucking body not far behind that band, and you might want to dial this one back a little bit. It's like, yeah, fuck Gary. I don't care. That's the best day of my life.
Show us your tits.
Throw beads at the fucking coffin.
little white coffin.
Oh, Jesus. Of course you made that. Of course you made it a little white coffin. Oh boy. They shouldn't make coffins that small.
Where's the rest of them?
Throwing beads. I was at my god's. Sorry.
No, I was just singing the Saints Go Marching. You just do whatever you got.
I got one a little bit loaded here. I was at my godfather's. It was the wake, actually. It wasn't the funeral, and he was my uncle, right? So like, big Irish family, even on my mom's side. People kind of come out of the woodwork, and I'm online to go up to the casket, right? And the lady behind me taps me on my shoulder, and she goes, "You're Teresa's son, right?" And I go, yeah. I go, yeah, that's me. And like, I'm quiet. My arms are crossed. Like my eyes are watering. Like I'm not like bawling, but like I'm definitely like quietly kind of crying.
Yeah.
And she goes, "It's nice to meet you. I'm your mother's cousin." And I go, "Oh, it's nice to meet you." Blah, blah, blah. She goes, "I hear you're a comedian." And I'm like, we're getting closer and closer. And I'm like, "Yeah, I do comedy." I go, "Yeah, I do comedy." And there's like a pause, and she goes, "You don't seem that funny." And I'm like, I literally turn around and I go, "Well, my godfather's in a box right in front of me right now, so I don't feel that funny at the moment." And she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I don't talk to her again for like a minute, right? A while. We're at like the after party type thing. This same fucking woman comes up to me and she goes, "You're Teresa's son, right?" And I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "I met your brother earlier, the comedian." Little rude. And I was annoyed earlier, but when she came up to me not realizing it was me again, I just burst out laughing.
Oh yeah, you'd be like, "Yeah, he's a cunt."
"It was me, you ridiculous lady. Like, it's me, and it's a fucking funeral. Cut it out. Like, stop this shit." She paused.
You know what'd be funny at a funeral if you're online to go up to the coffin? Hang on, I got cut off here. Can you guys hear me still?
Yeah, we hear you.
Never mind. If you tap someone on the shoulder and you go, "Mind if I go ahead of you? I've only got a few items."
My favorite thing to do is if somebody like goes to hand me a baby or something, I'm like, "I'm not hungry," and I walk away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just try and like set that aside. Like they like give you a look. My grandfather's funeral, my dad's dad. So my dad and I I didn't have a relationship with that side of the family forever. And my grandfather died. My grandmother died on my 16th birthday. My grandfather died on like middle of January, right? And if the thing about my dad's dad is that he was an asshole, like a huge asshole. And my dad's gonna hear this if he hears this podcast. He's gonna be like, "Why the fuck you shitting on my dad?" He was a piece of shit. He was one of the shittiest people in the world. For example, he would get drunk on Christmas and then throw the Christmas tree out the window. This was a routine thing he did.
Real or artificial?
Real.
He did you a favor.
Right. But
would he bother taking the ornaments off first? Because this kind of sounds fun.
No, he would just throw it.
That's just the
He was mad. He was mad at one of his kids, and he would just get real drunk and throw it. He hated Christmas. He fought in the Korean War, so he hated all Asians. Didn't matter where they came from. Just a fucking miserable dude. He was like a stockbroker or a stock trader in the city. He would get like pissed drunk. He'd miss his stop at the train. His mom, my grandmother, would have to go get him at the train station. He used to wake up at 2:00 in the morning, take my brother and my dad and his brother to go look for UFOs in Jersey. Like this was a thing he did because he was a fucking lunatic.
Well, that last part, again, just sounds fun, not really mean.
2:00 in the morning, you're drunk. You wake your kids up to drunk drive them to Jersey to look for UFOs.
Yeah,
That's
but the
not
kids
a
don't
good
know
thing
that,
to
though.
do.
The kids don't know. If my dad woke me up and said, hey, guys, come on, we're going to go look for the aliens. Fuck yeah, Father of the Year. Where are we going?
No.
Yeah, we used to go to the park and look in the sewers with my dad on Sundays because we'd be looking for Ninja Turtles.
But see, that's something that you wanted to do. I'm sure your dad didn't really believe in UFO.
No, we didn't believe it. We kept telling him it was the TV show. He was like, they're real, and I'll prove it to you.
Watch out for the dog I just drowned. No, but hold on. So he dies. We dies. We go to the church. The church is in Deer Park, New York, and it's still done up for Christmas. It's like 3 weeks after when it was supposed to be done up. The Christmas was taken down. It was still done up for Christmas because the bishop was coming later that week. So it's like, to us, it's like we're chuckling. We're laughing hysterically at ourselves because it's like he fucking hated Christmas. This is the best thing ever. The priest, Cambodian. He fucking would have hated this man. The priest is like, he couldn't say his name, so he kept calling him Jujinju. His name was Eugene. So he'd be like, we here for the ceremony of Jujinju, and he'd move on. And like, we were all like snickering ourselves, right? So I have my dad is like, there's 4 siblings, and one of them was Liz, and Liz could not be there for whatever reason. So in front of where the siblings were supposed to sit, there was like my dad, my uncle, his wife, Mary, and my Aunt Brenda. And they're going down the list, and he goes, oh, this is Brian, and this is Danny. And he goes, and this is Liz. And she goes, no, I'm Mary. And she was holding her baby. And she goes, you're not married and you have a baby? It's okay. Jesus kind of loves you. And he moved on. And we're like, what the fuck is he saying? So then he keeps going, and he starts going, like, me and my brother Brian are sitting next to each other, my brother the priest, and then me the atheist. He points at my brother and he goes, Jesus was like you. He goes, oh no, Jesus was much thinner. He's more like you. And he pointed at me, and I was like laughing. I'm like, this fucking guy is like losing it. My whole family, we're laughing hysterically, but like we're like huddled over because, like, you know, we don't want the people that we never associate with to hate us or whatever. And we're like shuffling. My uncle Danny literally looks at me and goes, hope you guys are having a great time. And he walked away. And I was like, ooh, this is the worst.
Yeah, but you can't help it. You got Rodney Dangerfield apparently giving the eulogy, just firing off roast jokes at people.
1 second, guys.
So good. Bye, Mick. Have a good one. So,
Oh, I can hear you. I'm right here. I got to get my charger. I'm right here.
all right.
You guys call me unprofessional?
Look at me. I'm still seeing.
I don't care.
shit's plugged in. I have nothing behind me.
I think visually this podcast is important. I think it's a good listen, but I think people miss a lot if they don't see my big fat dumb face.
Yeah, the aesthetics of this show, it's pretty much everything. Like, people like seeing that I don't know how to organize my shelf behind me. Let me just do this. I just stack shit.
It looks like it's on purpose though. It looks like modern architecture.
No, it is. There is no place for them to exist in this room aside from right there. That's why. Because this is my office, so there's just like office stuff in here.
Yeah,
And, it's not like a cool room. Like, there's I have a TV here for where I play video games, but I don't really ever get to play video games because all I do is work, apparently.
You're a proper adult. I play them all the time.
I just got Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Good game. Like killing people. It's another thing about me. I think I'm a murderer in real life.
I think Mick has that like competitive edge where, like, thank God he hasn't been. Thank God you haven't gotten too into video games, Mick, because I could see you on the headset just calling 10-year-olds awful names and stuff at like 2 in the morning.
Yeah, or like if a woman's playing a game, oh, forget it.
Yeah.
Besides being the biggest misogynist in this podcast, it's my favorite thing I decided.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. I was talking about that, like, someone the other day that said, like, you know, I listen to the podcast, like, you guys are like very funny together, but like they really make you out to be this evil person. And I go, no, fuck it. Like, it's just like, it's so funny because I said, I'm not even fucking close to what I am. Like, I put that one post up about Kamala Harris this week.
What was it? What did you say?
Yeah, we didn't see it, Mick. Go on.
There was that pause of like, you guys know, of course, right?
You know, you follow me on social media. You know what my post is.
The day of the inauguration, and I said, what was it? Thank you, Kamala Harris. Now women have no excuse.
And then I wrote, "Am I right, ladies?" Hashtag cheaper than
something like that. Something like that. But yeah, anyway, so when you talk about you still on funerals about your dogs?
No, we finished my grandpa.
I actually got a question for you, Mick. If you
go on.
Unless you want to bring some, but you did a marathon today, right?
No, I didn't do it today because I literally didn't do it today because of this podcast.
Oh, I thought it was because of my dog. You were only doing it in honor of the killing, and you canceled because
good. I'm glad we ruined your weekend.
Because of the timing of this. No, I'm going to do one once a month, so I'm going to put it off to next week.
Okay, cool.
I
rolled over in bed earlier at like 7:45, and I looked at my phone, and I had this moment of evil laughter where I was like, Mick's probably running on the Long Island Expressway service road right now, and I just like snuggled into bed.
No, I'm kind of glad too. It's fucking it's icy out there today, but no, I do one once a month.
That's cool, man.
I might step it up to once a week. We'll see what happens, but I don't want to be too gangly. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of fucking.
Yeah,
I don't think the Kenyan marathon runners do that. I don't think that you have to. I think once a month is acceptable.
Eddie, is there? Well, I'm trying to build up to 100. I'm doing a 100-mile run by myself in the springtime. I'm going to run to Montauk Lighthouse and back.
Wow.
Forest.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do it to raise money for Carl LeBove. I talked to him last night.
Oh, how's he doing? What's wrong? Is everything all right with Carl?
No, Carl's got cancer, really bad too.
I didn't know that.
So, yeah, and I knew he had cancer. I didn't know how bad it was until I listened to Mark Maron's podcast about 2 months ago. I don't really listen to Mark Maron. If the guest is on it that I want to hear, like I depend on the guest if I listen to it or not. So Matthew McConaughey was on it, so I said, let me listen to that just because I'm a fan of his. And he opened up his podcast by talking about trying to raise money for Carl and that kind of stuff. Like, all right, I didn't realize he was that bad. So me and Carl were talking last night just through text, and so yeah, I'm gonna do that in the springtime. So I'm trying to get ready for that to run 100 miles in 24 hours.
That's good. That's awesome. For those who don't know, Carl LeBove was like one of the original Sam Kinison guys, and he's a hilarious comic in his own right. He's been doing it forever. And he's had kind of a crazy life too. So yeah, if you can, guys, Google it, look up. I'm sure there's something set up to help out Carl, and he deserves it.
I'll pull it up, and we'll promote at the end of the show, and that way
or when I get to it, when I get closer to it, and I set up the GoFundMe and all that kind of stuff, and we'll I'll get it going. But yeah, so I'm kind of like this morning. I was like, there's no way if I got that means I gotta get up at 6. To get there, it's still dark. I don't feel safe. But when I used to run, for the month of January, I can't run my usual track because it's hunting season and they allow the hunters onto the actual track. So I was going to run, out here on the roads, but it's like I'm not Long Island. Fucking people coming home drunk still at that time in the morning. And a friend of mine, her sister was killed. She was jogging and someone, hopped the curb and hit her. So I'm like, it's not worth it to fucking, So I kind of glad I got postponed this week. I wouldn't have got done in time for to get back here for 11 o'clock to do this podcast.
Yeah. When you do the Montauk thing, are you allowed to can you stop when you get out there? Does it have to be continuous movement or like?
Oh no, that would kill you. No one does continue. You start I'm waiting to get back from the plan because a friend of mine from Ireland, which I didn't know, he's actual professional runner, and he was telling me he did a few 100-mile races where and he's going to give me the plan. But I assume it's run 10, maybe walk 2, and then rest up for half an hour or something. Sit down, rest, eat food, and then just keep doing it like that.
I could meet you out in Montauk for lunch then for a 30-minute sandwich, but I'm not going to run 100 miles, even for Carl, but I'll meet you out there for 20 minutes.
Yeah, because I do have to have a team. I do have to have some backup plans because I can't, I have to change my clothes eventually because the sweat will go right through you. You'll fucking die pneumonia. So
I can help you fake it too. We'll just drive every 20 miles, stop, get out, and just film 30 seconds of you.
Yeah, so there's
record timing.
Yeah, the people out in Strong Island boxing, they said they'll help me during the day because they'll be pacers. I'll have someone, at least I'll have someone to run with. These guys can do maybe 10. I know 4 or 5 the guys out there really well, so they might take turns in doing 10 miles and then they'll break, get something to eat, and someone else will take over. But I don't mind doing. I've never done anything close to that before, so fuck it.
Well, we'll put over Carl Lebove's fundraiser and then we'll wrap up. It makes sense. If you guys look, you can find help Carl Lebove fight cancer. It's LABOVE and Carl's with a C. You can look it up. There's donations there. It's organized by Brian Thompson, it looks like. But GoFundMe it's where it's located. So help Carl Lebove fight cancer. We'll give you more details as Mick gets closer to his marathon. I don't think we have to put over anything else. I'm not gonna put over my podcast. I'll rather put it towards that. So whatever you guys want to do. But that's it. Right? Keep going.
That's it.
All right, good guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening. And later.
Be good.
Take care.